Ferdinand Sieglin, and I work for Berliner Seifabrik in Germany. And for all those who don't know us, we are manufacturers of play equipment, and we make play equipment for life. And as you can see, what you also can see when you have a look at our claim, which is here, play equipment for life. And now maybe you might ask yourself, what does that claim actually mean? And for which life are we making play equipment? Well, let me explain to you. We make play equipment. One moment. We make play equipment for the life of children, or let's say for their joy of life, which should be awakened when they play on our equipment. I think you all know how important it is now, especially nowadays, to move around as much as possible. And therefore, it is one of our major tasks to design play equipment in such a way that it really arouses the children's enthusiasm so that they want to use the equipment and want to move. And this is, of course, for life again, just because it is healthy to move around. We make play equipment for all of our lives. That's the second aspect, because we attach great importance to sustainability in our production. This means, for example, we use aluminum made from 85% recycled material. The steel we use to build our playgrounds is made from 70% post-consumer recycled steel. Our production has been PVC-free for more than a decade. We take every step in the cradle-to-cradle process seriously and ensure that the total carbon footprint of our products is as small as possible. Over 90% of our products and materials are recyclable, and we put the remaining metal and the HDPE back into the recycling process. Our powder coating process works completely solvent-free. Our highly insulated production and office facility in Berlin uses renewable energy. The entire building is equipped with energy-efficient lighting, and so on. So this is the second aspect. But the most important thing, and this is at the same time the third meaning of our claim, play equipment for life, is our play equipment are made for generations. They are built to last for decades. And we achieve this by using only high quality materials, what makes the equipment so stable and durable. And this in turn protects the environment, saves resources, and of course for you, follow-up cost. And in the picture of this slide that you can see here on the right-hand side, you can see one of our first playground equipment from the 70s, and some of it is still in use. Where are we doing this? We are doing this mainly in Berlin, in the north of Berlin. There's the headquarters of our company, as well as our production facilities. So almost everything is produced here. We make 100% made in Germany. And in Berlin, we have about 120 employees. And in addition, maybe you might know, there is a subsidiary in the US, in Greenville, South Carolina. With also a small but growing production. And maybe, Lucas, you want to jump in and just tell a little bit what is going on with the production in Greenville, just a few words.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to. So we have a, let's say, small selection of products that we manufacture in Greenville, South Carolina, specifically the ICOs. So if you go onto our website, ICOs, those products, you can choose the colors, you can choose the size, et cetera, and those products are manufactured here in Greenville and can be shipped within 2 to 6 weeks. It's the longest lead time, manufactured in South Carolina. And yeah, there's probably more to come in terms of product selection, but at this point in time, it's just limited to the ICO series.
Thanks, Lucas. Yeah, it is also important to say that we do not only produce rope play equipment, but we offer a wide range of products with many, many different product groups. So we really can offer a unique solution for every area of play. And this also includes, for example, our tree houses from our product line called Greenville. We offer those tree houses in 3 different sizes. Our play points from the product line Urban Design are also have to be mentioned here. They are perfectly suited for urban surroundings, especially when you do not have a lot of space for play equipment. And they are also a perfect addition to each big Berliner playground. And sorry for this example, which shows sand as safety surface. I know that this is not common in the US, but this example is from Germany, and here in Germany, sand can be used as safety surface. So yeah, sorry for this example. So, and now let's get back to the actual topic of my presentation: a plan to play, custom solutions of modern playground design. And I would like to start with a quote from a renowned landscape architect from the US, namely Gregory H. Graves. And Gregory H. Graves has over 33 years of experience as a landscape architect and has been involved in the design of over 60 individual park and recreation projects, including playgrounds and sports fields. And Mr. Graves wrote a preface for one of our brochures, and he wrote the following words: playgrounds have a special meaning because they are the workplace for children. As Mr. Rogers said, play is often talked about as if it were a relief from serious learning. But for children, play is serious learning. Play is really the work of childhood. This is a place where children develop physically and socially and learn how to use their imagination. Sports fields are for playing specific games with predetermined rules and spatial requirements. Playgrounds are for exploration and unregulated games with uses that are limited only by one's imagination. And playgrounds are for all ages, abilities, and stages of development. Also, vital life coping skills may be acquired and practiced on a playground. Having these thoughts in mind and knowing the direct impact of the end product will have on people, I feel a greater sense of responsibility about what I am doing. The playground is more than amusement for kids. It's got to be a safe place for learning with lots of options and endless possibilities. That makes the planning and design of playgrounds special. It has much more meaning than just fun. Yeah, I think these are very, very impressive words, and everything he says, I can only confirm. And to present the whole thing in a more orderly way, we have put together the important guidelines of modern playground design. Those guidelines are divided into criteria that are relevant for the user of a playground, so mainly for the children, and criteria that are relevant for the decision makers of a playground. So that means mainly relevant for owners and architects of a playground, and the users are only affected indirect by this criteria. Firstly, the play equipment should provide a versatile range of physical exercise. This expresses the idea that a modern playground should offer a wide range of movement that is beneficial to the children on several levels, namely on a physical level, on a social level, and on a mental level. For the physical level, this means, for example, that muscles are trained, that posture problems and obesity can be avoided, that the sense of balance and body awareness is trained, and that motor skills are developed. Low rope courses, such as the one shown in the picture here, are perfectly suited for this purpose because they offer many, many different possibilities of movement. And as the degree of difficulty of the individual climbing elements varies, the children also have the opportunity to develop further. And another positive thing about this is that the equipment is attractive for different age groups. On a social level, a playground should encourage interaction between children so that they can learn something, that they can learn to interact with each other and have the possibility to learn something about their social behavior. And therefore, it is of course important that several children can play together on one play equipment. With this crossed flubber, for example, you can see here on the slide, the rubber mat moves completely different when there are two instead of just one child on the play equipment. Because then the children realize that their own behavior influences whether the other person gets insecure or falls down, for example. And this means here the children learn through the climbing element and in a playful way what influence their own behavior and ability to communicate has on others. And then there is, of course, the mental level I talked about. This means that play equipment should also offer mental challenges. And movement in a three-dimensional space, for example, which what you can see here on this slide, is beneficial on a neuronal level because it stimulates interconnection patterns in the brain. And those interconnection patterns stimulate the kind of imagination which is also needed in three-dimensional computing. So climbing in a spatial net really supports the mental development of children. Let's go to the next guideline, which says the playground should provide a high degree of challenge. By this, I mean that play equipment should be as attractive as possible so that children really want to use it. This may sound a little strange, but in a time when young children play on a mobile phone instead of moving around, it is one of our main challenges as a manufacturer for play equipment to make the equipment attractive enough for children to play on it, also to play on the equipment, despite playing on their mobile phone. And this can be reached, for example, via height, like with this spatial net climber, where children have the possibility to climb up to great heights. Because this play equipment looks very, very spectacular and is therefore, of course, attractive, as I know from my own kids. And when they see this kind of equipment, the first thing they want to do is really to climb up to the very, very high, very top of this play equipment. The possibility to climb up high in the air entails another important aspect, because here children have the possibility to learn about risk assessment and self-limitations. They climb up and then they suddenly realize that this is really, really high, and it really didn't seem to be that high when I was looking up from the ground level up to the top. And in those moments, they start thinking, am I able to do this? So can I go on, or would it be better to climb down again and try later? And those are very, very important learning processes for their whole lives concerning self-assessment, and the question, how far can I go in a certain moment. Other very important aspects concerning the attractivity of play equipment is versatility and unpredictability. Since there is no clear instruction of how to use a particular element, and it is also not clear how a rope or a rubber mat will react until using it, children are extremely curious about the play equipment. So the curiosity is really one aspect that makes especially low rope courses so attractive to them, because they really want to know, how is this rope or this rubber gonna move when I am on the play equipment. The next guideline says playgrounds should consider children with disabilities. What I want to say in this context is that inclusive play spaces are not just about eliminating barriers for wheelchairs, but inclusive playgrounds have to address all children with all different abilities. And that means, for example, they should enable different sensory experiences, they should provide motor challenges in different graduations, and of course, they should enable children to experience their commonalities and their differences as autonomously as possible and in close proximity. Because in this way, a playground can be a real meeting place where children with all different abilities can learn from and with each other. And the last direct guideline says playgrounds need to provide the necessary level of safety, of course. And of course, all our play equipment meet the necessary safety requirements of the ASTM standard. At the same time, we take care to ensure that a calculable risk remains. As I already said, of course, all our play equipment is designed in such a way that no serious injuries can occur, but also the ASTM provides for a calculable degree of risk acceptance, because it gives the children the opportunity to learn about dangers and their consequences in a controlled environment. So without this, many of the positive aspects I just mentioned wouldn't exist. So that means, for example, the equipment would be less exciting because the degree of challenge would not be very high. And where there is no risk, there cannot be any learnings about risk assessment. So the children would no longer have to think about what they are capable of and where the limits lie. But once again, of course, all our equipment is designed in a way that no bad injuries can occur. Yeah, let's get to the first guideline on the right-hand side, which says play equipment should guarantee a long service life. And this is particularly important for the customer from a cost perspective, because in the event of rapid wear and tear, high follow-up costs are the consequence. In our view, the central starting point here is the quality of the materials used, as well as their workmanship. So let me give you an example. Our ropes are still manufactured completely by ourselves in Berlin. And as you can see, they consist of a steel core that is wrapped around 4 or 6 polyester yarn covered steel strands. The number of steel strands depend on the diameter, size of diameter you want to have for a rope. And all in all, this leads to a very, very high quality and therefore a high load capacity. And since we continue manufacturing the ropes on machines that are actually intended for the production of pure steel ropes without yarn, we achieve the highest possible compression of the yarn and thus a very high abrasion resistance. For reasons of cost and time, modern playground design should also guarantee easy maintenance. And the solution for this, from our point of view, are technical innovations such as our SMTT tensioning system. With this tensioning system that you can see here inside the system ball, tensioning is in a spatial net is achieved simply by tightening the screw inside the ball, that you can see here on this slide. So particularly easy. And if a rope should be so badly damaged, for example, by vandalism, that it has to be replaced, this is also possible without any problems. The Berliner cloverleaf ring that you can see here on this slide, another technical innovation, connects the ropes in such a way that that forces are transmitted directly from rope to rope. And since nothing is swagged or welded at the crossing points, individual rope sections can be replaced on the playground without having to replace the whole spatial net. Yeah, let's get to the next guideline, which says a playground should be easily extendable. We experience this again and again, that a playground should be enlarged or parts of a playground should be replaced or changed. And therefore, it makes sense if new play equipment can be connected to existing equipment. And the central term in this context is, of course, modularity. And this is given, for example, by the different ways in which the ropes can be connected to the posts. The so-called Theranos clamp that you can see here, once with a chain connection and once with a rope connection, is variable in height and can therefore be connected to the posts in a variety of directions and angles. And this means that devices can be combined with each other via the ropes and are very, very modular. And how this can look like in practice, I will show later on during this presentation. Yeah, the last guideline is called realization of the vision. What I want to say with this guideline is that almost every architect who comes to us has a vision of a playground. And often this vision is influenced by the geographic features of a certain area, the local social conditions, the client's ideas, or how, for example, the ideas of children involved in a participation process. And there it is, of course, our task as a manufacturer to take up this vision and implement it in our design proposals. And I would now like to show you what this can look like on the upcoming slides of my presentation. The first example I would like to show to you is called Am Parkfeld in the city of Wiesbaden in Germany. As you can see here, or I would tell you a little bit about the project. The client for this project was the city of Wiesbaden, and the landscape architect of the local parks department was in charge. So what was the initial situation? There was a 2,300 square meter area that is located close to a residential area with many high-rise buildings. And this means that the park also serves a garden for the residents of this area with a lot of children. And therefore, one aim was to install playground equipment that offers space for as many children as possible. And in addition, there was also a participation process with the young people of a youth club in the neighborhood. And this was particularly important to them, that the new playground should again have a zipline. And there were also areas on the plan, on the site, that the children called places of danger with a dark and overgrown area that had been avoided by the children because of the darkness. And yeah, that's why they called it place of danger. And then there was also the architect's vision, and she wanted something spectacular, transparent, and she wanted a fresh look that should fit to the green environment of the trees. So this was the initial situation. So let's see what the result looks like. So here you can see the highlight of the new playground, a combination of 2 DNA towers with a spatial net inside connected by a net tunnel. Why has it become this design? First of all, spatial nets offer space for many, many children at the same time, which meets one of the main requirements of this playground, namely to provide sufficient capacity to all the children living in the neighborhood. And these towers, in these towers, the children have the opportunity to climb in great heights, so to a height of 7 meters, which makes the play equipment attractive for older children as well. And finally, the design of the rotating towers was in line with the vision of the landscape architect who wanted to give the playground a fresh and innovative face. So those were the main reasons for the DNA towers. On the right-hand side, you can see the zip line, which the children absolutely had wanted. And you can see here once again that the choice of the different color styles of green and the beige rope color has succeeded in fulfilling another wish of the architect, namely that the devices fit harmoniously into the tree population surrounding the playground. Here you can see a low rope course consisting of different climbing elements. And this low rope course leads over a small hill to the place of danger I talked about before, which the young people had reported about during the participation process. And in this place of danger itself, the bushes were removed completely and a disc was installed. So the disc really gave a new kind of function to this place. And the low rope course now functions as a kind of guideline to this new area that leads the children over the small hill into the former place of danger, which now is a place for the disc. The playground is rounded off by this elbow swing, a new one-armed swing whose modern design also meets the required freshness and innovation of the new playground. The second project I would like to show to you now is one of the largest and most extensive projects we have ever done. The playground is located in Budapest, in the southern part of the largest public park of the capital of Hungary. The park is called Városliget and was created in the course of one of the largest cultural development projects in Europe. On an area of 13,000 square meters, there are now more than 50 different play equipment, and it can really be said that almost all the guidelines of modern playground designs have been implemented. And here you can see the highlight there in the middle, the red, white, with the red and white stripes. And from the air perspective, you might not immediately see what it is. But on the next slide, I think when you see this picture, it becomes clear what you just saw on the aerial photo. And the story is, this is a painting by the artist called Paul Merse, painted in 1878. And it shows a hot air balloon rising from that park, Városliget, into the air of Budapest. And it was the wish of the client to integrate this historical event, which was captured here by the artist in painting, to integrate this historical event into the design of the new playground. And the result looked like this. So this is the balloon, the climbing balloon. It has a height of more than 12 meters, and inside this balloon there is a huge spatial net that you can see in the next slide here, which was taken during the installation process. The balloon is designed a pendulum mounted central mast, which is anchored to the ground with a total of 8 ropes. And the spatial net that you can see here was tensioned in a frame structure that is suspended from another 4 steel cables from the top of the central mast. And in order to maintain the round shape of the balloon skin had been stiffened using those vertical plastic rods. And for the balloon skin itself, we have used an air-permeable polyester fabric. So thus we were able to make sure that the balloon can also withstand strong winds. And at the same time, this slightly transparent textile structure ensures that enough light gets into the interior of the balloon. Here again, a picture from above through the spatial net. And here it becomes clear once again that such a 3D net also works wonderfully in terms of attractiveness, so due to the height, and of course also the interactivity between the children that you also can see here. So they can really play together in this spatial net. Another view from below. You can see the rubber mats integrated in the spatial nets, which gives the opportunity to relax, to chill together, to sit around also. And on this picture, you can see that the balloon is not the only highlight of Városliget, because there were also 2 climbing towers, very high climbing towers with a height of more than 11 meters, equipped with tunnel slides. And the 2 towers are connected to each other with wire net tunnels and also vertical climbing nets. As you can see here, a net tunnel and a big slide. Or here, another picture, the net tunnel. This is the inside view of the tunnel. Here you can see more horizontal nets, which were also installed as a transition between the 2 towers. And here, once again, you can see the modularity of our play equipment I just mentioned, because the ropes are connected to the posts via those Theranos clamps here in white color. So you are really flexible. And here is another net climber with a treehouse on the top of a central mast. In addition, the playground is equipped with different play points, such as those slide bars called Whitewater from our urban design product line. They really were integrated into the hill so that children can slightly go down the hill. And in the toddler area, there is, among other things, this playhouse from Titopia, which offers space for role-play games and retreat for the little ones. Yeah, usually at this point of my presentation, I show a video clip of the playground we did there with a lot of children smiling, because this is the best way to show what is going to happen when you consider the requirements of modern playground design. And the problem is a little bit that via the Zoom, the video via Zoom has really bad quality. That's what I just realized in the other webinars. So therefore, I decided to send the link to the video via mail to all of you if you want to. So if you're interested in the video, just write me an email and I will send the link around. Yeah, last but not least, I really want to recommend to you our brochure called Breathtaking Places. Here you will find reports on different projects that we did together with landscape architects. And this brochure also includes the architects' commentaries on the projects. And this is also something I can send around to you. Just let me know if you want to receive this brochure and send me an email. Yeah, this is the last slide of my presentation. Thank you very much for participating. Thanks for your attention. And yeah, I hope you could learn something, or it was at least inspiring to you. And now there is time for questions. So please feel free to ask questions via chat. Thank you very much.